Happy Friday, guys, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Dubs. I'm your host, Bill T. Well, 2 weeks left until one crazy weekend. That's right. If you're looking at today's calendar, it's Friday. You've got one more Friday, and then the next Friday after that is one crazy weekend. So I'm looking forward to that kicking off. And on today's episode, we're going to get caught up on where I've been all around the world over the past 30 days. In addition to, we're going to be talking with George T. I got him in the studio, and we're going to be doing a little bit of a round table today. So talk about a bunch of stuff, places I've been, things that are going on, projects, and we're going to do a detailed discussion about the show. Lots of questions people are having. So without any further ado, guys, let's get into it. Round table, pre-show, show on Let's Talk Dubs.
You probably don't know that there's a new Volkswagen out that doesn't look like a Volkswagen. It's got everything that people who like the bug like.
George T, what up?
What's up, Bill T?
Well, just here back in the USA after my couple weeks of world gallivanting. But before we get into that, what I'd like to talk about is the most spectacular thing that's happened, better than going all around the world, is going to Let's Talk Dubs weekend. Let's Talk Dubs in the Wagon, one crazy weekend at the Orleans Hotel and Casino. That's coming up in 2 weeks. Friday, October 6th and Saturday, October 7th. It's going to be kicked off with a meet and greet, 4 o'clock at the hotel. You guys can start rolling in. We'll have all the barricades up and set up. And if you're going to be partaking in the strip cruise and all that stuff, you can come right on inside the barricades and we just kind of hang out. We'll have some, just a big meet and greet there, kind of hang out, a little congregation before the get down. And we cruise the strip. We'll end up cruising the strip at 8 p.m. So we'll line up about 7:30, get everybody lined up, and then start heading off the property at 8 p.m. So if you want to be part of the strip cruise, you've got to make sure that you're at the hotel about 7:30, 7:45, and just follow all the cars on the strip. So the strip, as you guys know, has had a little bit of construction on it because of the F1 stuff. And so with that, the goal is that we're going to kind of route it a few days before and just figure out the best, most effective way to go down the strip. And there'll probably be two groups, one group that'll do a little bit longer than the other, just depending on traffic. But we're really going to assess the traffic because strip cruising is fun, strip sitting is not. So, that's where we're at.
I just rode my bike down Las Vegas Boulevard the other day, and I don't recall too much traffic from T-Mobile over.
Over to where?
To my house, so towards downtown. I don't recall going through any traffic.
What was the date and time of this? You did this
is last Sunday.
Oh yeah, Sunday, during the day.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a problem. Sunday during the day.
Saying no construction.
Yeah.
I didn't see construction.
They may not have construction. Hopefully they've got all that cleared up.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit that thing at nighttime, probably Saturday night this week.
I'm going to ride it on Sunday morning as well. And I'll check it again.
Saturday night's the more important part because that's when it's going to be the busiest. That'll give you a good idea of what kind of times we're going to be there. But ultimately, as long as there's no crazy divots and trench plates and stuff like that, I don't want to put anybody in a bad way. And we may have some guys that are rolling with like real low guys to kind of stick to one lane, and then we'll just make sure that we kind of have an idea. So trying to make sure everybody can hit the strip cruise and enjoy that.
We're going to have fun regardless.
It's a great time.
We'll figure it all out.
So make sure you charge your GoPros, you got your mounts, all that stuff, so everybody get all kind of footage that they want of their car cruising on the strip. And if you guys get some little bit of footage, send it to me, and I'll put it together in a compilation video that we're going to do for the strip cruise. But it's a great time. I loved it last time we did it. It's just the amount of onlookers on the strip just gawking at the cars. It's totally cool. The lights on the strip are awesome. So it's always a super fun time. And then after that, so you figure that whole thing will take probably anywhere from an hour to hour and a half, and then back to the hotel.
And hopefully you're staying at the hotel.
Yeah, if you guys, even if you don't have rooms reserved there at the hotel, if you're staying in if you're part of the car show in the morning, we're going to park you the night before. So that way you can go out Friday night, do whatever you want to do. Don't have to worry about getting up early, coming and setting up your car. You can spend a little bit of time kind of getting your car prepped and ready to go. We'll put everybody in their designated spots. And
many clubs out there that are going to be there Friday night doing the cruise. If you want to park as a club Saturday,
yes,
I'm going to try and get a lot of those things set up on Friday evening. So when you come out downstairs Saturday morning, it's already set up.
And all that kind of happens during the 4:00 meet and greet. So the earlier you get to the hotel, then we can discuss some things, cordon off some sections for you guys. I know a bunch of dudes from Arizona are coming up. I mean, you got Pandraggers, you've got the Desert Dubs. You've got a bunch of guys coming up. Hopefully some dry heat panzers will be coming up here. I mean, with Arizona supporting big time. Bakersfield is crazy, bro. Tons of people coming out from Bakersfield.
Yeah, nice.
A lot of people coming out from Southern California. So we've really got the gamut. And there's a Salt Lake contingent that's coming out here. I know my guy Kevin's going to be coming on his way out here with his family, and he's got 2 cars in the show. And I'm hoping to see some more. I'm hoping to see some more people out here from Salt Lake City. So I wasn't able to go to the Salt Lake Classic because I'm sorry, bro.
Jet setting.
I was out of town. And it wasn't like I was across the street. I was in the Netherlands. But we'll get into that in a little bit. So
yeah, I apologize. I didn't make it to Utah Classic either. I had to stay in work.
Yeah, so it's too. The problem is you're too close to the show, and everybody dropped off their car a week or 2 ago, and it's like nothing ever happens the way it's supposed to. So, Saturday. So we get back from the strip cruise. So we're still talking about the show. Get back from the strip cruise. It's going to be Friday night. Park the cars where they need to be. Everybody gets situated. If you're going to be a vendor, you can set up Friday night. Get all your stuff set up if you want to cover it. There's going to be security out there. I mean, I wouldn't leave a bunch of valuables and expensives out there. Well, calm down. There's going to be. I'm not saying leave product.
Your booth with guns.
Right, but some people are wanting to get set up, and they're going to, some people are going to want to be set up Friday night and sell some stuff or whatever. So they'll get some of those vendors will get their spot set up Friday night. And then they'll be able to just show up in the morning, load their tables, and be able to move some stuff for some product. So a lot of people coming out for the show. I've got obviously Andy and his lady Dee are coming out. They're coming from the UK. Mm-hmm. Also, I've got Russell Ritchie is coming out. So
from Scotland.
Yeah, from Scotland. He's got a massive collection, huge history buff, loves the podcast. He's coming out. So
he's a cool guy.
I mean, we've got people from all over the world. I've got people coming in from Philadelphia. I got people coming in from Canada. I got people coming in from all over are coming to this event. They've messaged me that they're coming down. They may or may not have cars. So during the strip cruise, I think I may end up taking the limo bus on the strip cruise and putting some people in there because
people don't have a car to cruise.
There's some really people that don't have a car, and I'd like to be able to help accommodate that kind of stuff. So
I got a couple friends coming down too that don't have cars. So
yeah. So at any rate, so Saturday morning kicks off the car show at 8 a.m. Now let's talk about the car show for a minute. This year I'm using a software. Pay attention, guys, that put on your car shows. You need. Well, what is this, George? People can't hear your little hand signals, bro.
That's for you, bro.
What is that?
I don't know. I think it's very complicated, but let's go on.
There's nothing complicated about it at all. How would you like? Okay, here, let me bust your little bubble, George. How would you like to show up to a car show? You get handed a placard with all your information on it. You don't got to write it with a stupid Sharpie. You get it handed to you, and there's a photograph of your car on that with a QR code that somebody walks by, snaps it, votes for your car.
Are all the pre-reg set up that way? Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Come on, stop, bro. This is a professional over here, dude. Come on. No, bro. Pay attention, guys. This is what it's like when you got haters in the room, bro.
Not haters.
You're busy trying to make things happen, and you got people hating, bro. But that's all right, because I thought, I looked at it from the standpoint of every time I enter a car show, if a true people's choice would be anybody walking through the parking lot could vote for your car. Anybody. They don't have to be part of the show. They don't got to be anything. So anybody walking by your car can snap that QR code and vote for your car. So we're gonna be able to tally up who's got the best votes. We're gonna look at what the judges picked. We're gonna be looking at a lot of different criteria, but it's really cool. Plus the placard's got the One Crazy Weekend event logo on it, in addition to the QR code, and then it's got your name, the city and state you're from, and the year and all that stuff about your car. So it's super, super cool. really uncomplicated. Everybody that's pre-registered is going to be in there. And if you show up to the show and you've got a picture of your car on your phone, you'll be able to airdrop it to my laptop, and I'll be able to print your placard right there for those last minute registrations, which are kind of a pain in the butt. But for the most part, a lot of people are pre-registered for the show. So that takes care of a huge contingent. Now, you may not get a picture of your car on the placard because depending on how much time it is and all that getting in the show, it could end up being a little bit of an ordeal. I mean, it's not gonna be an ordeal just to load you in the show and then boom, you're done. You print out your placard, put it in your window. It's gonna have your own QR code for your car right there on the spot. So I'm looking forward to running the software through its paces.
What's the software called?
So it's called Car Show Pro. So Roger over there.
What if people, like, is it an app?
Nope.
Let's just go into a website.
Yep.
So if someone was not pre-registered yet, excuse me, if they were not pre-registered yet, could you go on that website and set up a profile on there? And then when you register for your show,
yes.
It would automatically input the information?
It's free of charge. So if you guys are going to pre-register for Car Show, if you're going to pre-register for the show here in if you're unable to pre-register, you don't know if you're going, go to Car Show Pro today, set up your profile on Car Show Pro, and then that makes registration even that much faster. So if you say, yeah, I'm already set up, then boom, I type your information. You already come up Car Show Pro. Boom, I hit a button. Your stuff automatically uploads, and then I print your placard.
For any couples that have two cars, you have to use two separate email addresses when you sign up for your cars if you're going to enter two cars into a show. But otherwise, if you're a single person with a single car, your email address, if at pre-registration or at registration on the spot, if that's linked to a Car Show Pro account, it'll automatically autofill all the information.
It'll just, if you're not going to pre-register for the show, go to Car Show Pro, load your car in there now. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. You'll have your own deal, and then when I go to register you, it'll pull up that much quicker. I don't have to enter all your car information, and then it's going to be super quick. I take your money, add you to the show, print your thing, and that's it. So that's I'm excited to see how that's going to go down.
I'm curious how it goes.
I know Andy. Well, that's easy. It's like as soon as I go, you're one of the judges on there. As soon as you go, you can hit that button anytime. It'll go to your judges thing. It'll show you where the standings of all the cars are, who's voted, who hasn't voted. In respect to if we have designated judges, it'll show you Judge A is voted, Judge B is voted, and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of cool features of this software. And I ran into the guy that makes Car Show Pro at the SEMA show, and I thought it was a really great idea. And I thought I'm going to try to use it at my show because I really, especially being in Vegas, a lot of the casino people kind of trickle out and look at cars. And if you're at a car show, if you happen to be on vacation somewhere and you happen to walk through a car show and like, oh, cool, and you saw on a window said, vote for me, and you hit the QR code and it said, cast your vote for me, and it's Bill T, and you just, boom, vote. How cool would that be?
Yeah.
Right? So I'm looking forward to that. So the car show is going to go from 8 o'clock until 1 o'clock. So load-in will probably be around 7:30, 7:30 to 8:30. Load in, set your car up. If you guys, you got to be organized. If you're going to show up the morning of the show and you're not pre-registered, you're not going to be there Friday night, you're going to get parked where you get parked. If you want to be displayed as a club, as a group, you need to get a majority of your cars located in a specific location, and we'll leave a couple missing teeth out for your other guys that aren't, let's say they're not staying at the hotel or whatever, but we can get that situated. I've been speaking to Buddy Hale. He's bringing Turmoil down, and we're going to put Turmoil on display inside the hotel. So if you guys haven't seen Turmoil, that car is scheduled to be here on display inside the casino, which is, it's an unbelievable car if you haven't seen it in person, and the level of detail to it it's incredible. So you'll get an opportunity to see that car in person. Another reason to come to One Crazy Weekend. And so we're going to, so the car show goes from 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock. We'll do the awards around 12:30. And then after the show's over, you ain't got to leave. You just leave your car right there in the secured parking, go in the hotel, go to the pool, go hang out, go take a nap, go do whatever you want to do. Get some food, go cruise around the city for a little bit.
Gamble a little.
Yeah, whatever. And then 5:30 is when it kicks off. The world famous poker run where someone's going to walk away with 1,500 smackers in their pocket right at the end of the poker run. So we give away $1,500 to first place for the best hand. the second best hand gets $300, and the third best hand gets $200. So, and then I might find a reason to give away some more money just because I really enjoy being able to give some of that back. And when you enter the Poker Run, you're going to get an exclusive Poker Run only t-shirt. So the t-shirts you're going to see this year are going to be for participants only. I'm going to make different colored shirts that'll be available for sale for the event. But the shirt this year that you're going to get when you come and enter the Poker Run, you get a shirt. You can buy an additional shirt for $15 on the website when you pre-register. Someone asked me how to do that. You have to run through this. You have to go through it twice. So you pay your Poker Run, add it to your shopping cart, go back to the page, pick the option that says shirt for spouse or co-driver. Click that, click the size of the shirt, add that. It adds the 15 or 20 bucks or whatever it is for the shirt, 25, I don't know what it is, for the second shirt. And then you have your second shirt. A lot of people have really been spun around the axle like, I want to get a shirt, but I don't know how to do it. And the way that I set the website up, I'll redo it next time around where it just has an option to click for an extra shirt and you can just add it to that single purchase. So, hey, listen, guys, none of this is done by professionals. It's all done by your boy, Bill. I figured out how to do a podcast, figured out how to run a website, whatever. I just got to trying to do what I can as a one-man army as far as all that kind of logistics and stuff. But so that's your answer for that. So if you were trying to get a shirt, you can go on the website, click the option just for a shirt for a co-driver, and then we'll connect your name to everybody on that. So that's a good time. I'm looking forward to that. If you've never done the Poker Run before, it's a blast. I mean, I think I've got more cars, almost as many cars pre-registered as we had for the whole Poker Run, and a ton of people. I mean, last year there had to be 100 people registered the day of the show. Yeah. And it's like, that's a lot of people. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of cars in the Poker Run. It's a freaking great time, with all the guys running around doing whatever they're doing, running together, just cruising together, which is kind of what I did this weekend when I went to the Netherlands with these guys. So, but yeah, so the Poker Run ends at 5:30, and that's the Poker Run begins at 5:30.
Hopefully, everybody should hopefully be back at the Orleans by 8:30.
Right. So by 8:30, you're getting dealt your last card. We'll all wait for, the last people to trickle in, so that everybody's got their stuff.
We're going to find out where we're going to meet at. There will be pizza available. So when everybody comes back, there should be food available, ready to go.
Yeah. So there'll just be some snacks and stuff like that when you get back, so everybody can kind of hang. It's indoors where we do it, and it's just a good time. So that once that's over, that concludes Let's Talk Dubs One Crazy Weekend. And some people think it may be a little abrupt, but you got to remember, here's the difference. We are in Vegas. People want to do Vegas things in Vegas. They love doing VW stuff, but they want to do some Vegas stuff too. So this show's been set up to where there's time for you to do stuff after, eventually, as we add more things. So what I was trying to do, and I talked to Johnny Osmondson, I said, we ought to do a Thursday night, run what you brung out at the power plant. And Johnny's going to be talking about that. Anybody got a fast car, wants to bring it out? You want to bring it out there? If we get enough people to do it.
2 weeks.
It don't matter. Bro, if you race, you race. If you race, you race. I don't know what you're looking around for.
Add more stuff to this.
I'm not adding more. I'm just telling you what we were talking about doing. So,
but it's not happening.
Well,
it's 2 weeks from now.
There's nothing. They don't have big plans for street races. They people just know where it's at and they show up and race. That's it. So I don't know what it's all about.
They need a room for Thursday now. Like, this would be planning. Like,
no.
We're going to announce it 2 weeks before.
No,
silly.
No, bro.
Silly.
So that would ultimately be the thing that we have
it's not happening, guys. So let's go back to the show.
It's not that it's not happening. If you reach out to Johnny Osmondson and we got 10 cars
that show on Saturday night when the Poker Run's over, that doesn't mean everybody goes home. We still have security out in the parking lot. And I think last year we all ended up hanging out until about midnight or so in the parking lot, just chatting up with everybody. So if you're there on Friday from the very beginning to the very end of it Saturday night, you've already had a full Volkswagen weekend. Yeah. So your Sunday is a decompression day. You're going to relax. You're going to drive home if that's the case. There's no pressure that day. Sleep in if you want. That's why the show is set up the way we set it up.
Yeah, so it's kind of a no pressure weekend. It's more of a driving event. It's just
we've always tried to make it more of a hang than a show. the entire time. And even with the poker run, it's like a hang. The fun that people are having when they're going from shop to shop, and the camaraderie with the groups, and I mean, it's a hang first and foremost on anything. I think that's why every year it gets a little bit bigger, because people come, they have a really good time, and they tell their friends. And when they come back, they usually got 2 or 3 friends that they brought back with them.
Yeah. So I think the best way that I can describe this event, if you've never been to the one crazy weekend, the best way to describe it is if you go to a show. Let's say they just had the Treffin this weekend. Only certain year cars are allowed in the Treffin. You go to Octo. Only certain buses are allowed in Octo. You go to some of these other events, and they're limited on what can come in, or everything's in a different class, and there's all kind of different stuff. And sometimes you feel a little bit like an outsider when you show up somewhere, like, oh, these are all the California guys, and they don't talk to me, or whatever, because I've been there. This show is set up where I forgot to mention Bob Daniels coming out from the East Coast. So the guy that runs the Classic 80s page on Facebook, the custom cars, the 80s and 90s. He's coming out. So Bob Daniels will be out here. And, when you come to this event, you meet a bunch of people. It's all about the people, this event. I mean, the cars are cool. We're here because of the cars, but there's nothing, if your car's not some showstopper, this, and this, it doesn't matter. It's all about hanging out, meeting people. There's so many people that you'll find parallels with. And I think the greatest thing about it being in Vegas is it's like neutral ground for everybody. You know what I mean? It's like the guys from Arizona come up. I think there's guys from Colorado. There for sure there are guys
all the way from
Colorado
Oregon coming in. I mean,
Todd Getty's coming from Oregon.
People come from all over.
He was
Northern California.
He was a first year guy.
Southern Cal.
Yeah.
I mean, we get it from everywhere.
Yeah,
I think it's a really good mix of people, and because of the fact that we're hanging out so much with each other from Friday all the way to Saturday evening, groups mix with each other. And these guys are hanging out with that guy and, whatnot.
Well, and it takes me back to, I was explaining to somebody I was talking to today on the phone that the best times at the VW Classic was hanging out in the parking lot Friday night when the show's on Sunday. You get there. We would get there sometimes Thursday. Friday morning, hanging out in the parking lot, a bunch of open houses that day. So you cruise around with all your buddies from out of town. Come back to the parking lot later on. Now there's more VWs there. So now you hang around the parking lot. You go get, everybody goes to the store, get some drinks, whatever, comes back and hangs out. And it's just a big parking lot lounge hangout type thing, And I met so many people over the years of going to the Classic just from staying at the hotel. And it didn't matter. I remember the first time I met Bob Cook when he came out, Cooker's VW Restorations over there on the East Coast. He'd come out and, being from the East Coast, I went up to him, saw his cars, told him I really dug his cars, all that kind of stuff. And, if you listen to the podcast with Bob, he didn't feel super welcome like when he came out. But the hotel again was like neutral ground because there was a lot of visitors and everybody just got to chill there. And I remember there's a guy, I don't know his name. I ran into the other show. He's from Jersey. He's a bus guy. I'm sure he has a name on the Samba. I don't know. I forget, but I saw him at the last event somewhere, and I remember, and he told me, I remember we were doing some shop tours or something like that, and he was out from Jersey, and he rode in the back of my bus for the whole, going around touring the shops and all that stuff. And it was just one of those things where it's like, hey, you need a car, you need a ride, let's hop in here and we'll just go. That's kind of the cool part about this event here is just the people meeting each other, hanging out, and just really having a great time. So I'm excited for the weekend. I'm excited for a lot of my friends that are going to be here. The list is endless of people that are going to be at this event. So a lot of cool people. And because of where the show is, it's a super relaxed atmosphere. It's a super, just a chill vibe and just rap with people and talk to them about their cars. So it's a great time. And you'll start making friends, especially when you go on the poker run and stuff like that. You really just you make friends with your group, So that's one of my favorite things about it. Like so many people from different locations that are VW enthusiasts have all kind of become friends through knowing each other on the podcast. And really the only advertising the show's really got, other than the one batch of flyers that was made, was from the podcast, podcast listeners and all that stuff. And so everybody kind of has that thing.
And some dude has
in
a
common.
YouTube channel that puts it at the end of every one of his videos.
Yeah,
too.
well, yeah, I got you, and George too. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like I've been going to every show handing out flyers. And the first one I put flyers in was back in March. Was the Bug In. Put out a handful of flyers. Well, not a handful. Put a stack of flyers over there. And then I'm trying to remember what other shows I went to that I put flyers. I think I brought flyers to. They didn't have a classic this year. And the weekends were all jacked up again because they had this show on that day and that show on this day. And I only went to one of the California weekends where they try to make it SoCal VW month. Lame. Change your game down there in SoCal because it's super annoying. Everybody I talk to is really irritated by it because they can't, especially people that come from out of the country.
Pick and choose a show. It's silly.
Well, and when people come from out of the country, people go to Southern California and they want to do a little bit of VW stuff, but they'd like to have it a certain amount of time. The problem is if you're from Germany or something like that, you want to come to the desert. You want to go see the Wild West, like stuff like that. And you don't really see that in California. So then the problem is a lot of these guys will come in, they'll plan to come in to Southern California, hang out for the big show weekend, and then do tourist stuff. The problem is when there's like a VW thing on this weekend, then that weekend, then this weekend, then it's like, well, they got to pick, are they going to go to Octo? Are they going to go to this, that, or whatever? So, yeah, this show is, it's really a different dynamic. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I'm happy to see all you guys over there. If you guys have any questions, ask them now. Because if you're asking them the day of the show or the day before the show, I'm probably going to be too busy to respond to anything. You guys can DM me on Instagram. You can message me on Facebook. And a lot of you guys got my cell phone number. So, but I really don't think there should be very many questions. You know, It's just, it is what it is. And I'm really looking forward to the weekend. So it's shaping up to be,
speaking of car shows,
pretty good event.
Air Mighty, how was it?
Well, before I went to Air Mighty, I went to Hawaii.
All right, let's go to Hawaii.
So back when I was at the June show for Volks Group, talking to Tom, who owns Hot VWs now.
What was the name of that event?
That name was I can't think of it. It was the Volks Group Summer Slam is what it was called. And that was the first thing for the Volks Group that they did. And, you know, it's where I took the drag bug out there and broke the transmission. And so went out there at the end of the show. They talked to me and they said, hey, would you guys be interested in coming out to, they talked to myself and Johnny. They said, hey, if you guys would come out to the VW Shaka show. So we talked about some things. And so I talked to Johnny, and Johnny was just having some car issues. So he couldn't make, he had his grandfather was not doing well. So he ended up not being able to go.
What you looking at?
I'm looking for the name of the event, knucklehead. This is like when I'm doing this. This is when you jump in. There's like
I thought you said it already.
I thought we're like perfect. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I just want to make sure it's what it was.
Holy guacamole,
bro.
So you and Johnny went up to this event. And
Johnny didn't go to Hawaii.
No, but he went to the one the Volks.
The Volks Group Summer Slam, which I want to make sure that's what it's called.
And while you were there, Tom Kenny said, hey, why don't you come up to the Shaka show and have a good old time? We're there. So Bill T jumps on a plane and goes to the Shaka show.
So when I went, I said, I can go. I just have to make sure that my wife, I'm sure my wife's down to go to this event over there. I just got to make sure that she's good to go. And it was called the Summer Showdown #1 is what it was called in Medford, Oregon. And I said, I'm sure my wife's going to go. So I knew I was going to go, but I never talked to Tom or any of those guys up until the Friday before the show. Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, I'm coming down. Cruise down. I think we flew in on Wednesday. So I was looking for cheap flights. So I found some cheap flights for $500 or something. And we flew out there on a Wednesday and then came back on a Tuesday. So we were there like 6 days. We got to hang out. I did some painfully ridiculous hike. It was crazy. But on Friday, it was super cool because the VW Club of Hawaii, they have a park right on the water, and they do kind of a cruise in that night or a barbecue. So they do a big barbecue at the park. Super cool. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he owns the place that Cliff goes all the time here in town.
Finley Custom?
No. It's
Hops.
Hops.
Yeah, Kevin?
Yeah. So I met him. So Kevin's super cool. We were chatting it up over there down in Hawaii, and talked about cars and a bunch of stuff, and hung out with him. I met Stan. I met a bunch of dudes down there. Super cool. Big props to all the dudes in Hawaii. Super friendly, really welcoming, and they had like legit like all this nice Hawaiian food all set up. So you just kind of roll up and dig in, and
that's like a Kenny signature.
Well, that wasn't even Tom Kenny. That was just the VW Club of Hawaii.
All right, so let's say it's a Hawaiian signature.
Yeah.
So Tom Kenny does it at the Volks group.
The Volks Group stuff. He does.
Formerly Fast Four Cartel. He did it there as well.
The Kenny Kitchen stuff. So
yeah,
he ends up. So we do that. Hang out Friday night, and then Saturday is the. Is it Saturday's the show? Well, I'm just trying to think because I got a lot going on. So Saturday. The show's on Sunday. So Friday night's the barbecue. Saturday is a cruise in at that park. They do. There's a thing where they do like a cars and coffee, but it's just a bunch of hot rodders and stuff that go to the same park, and so they were doing that on Friday night, and then the Shaka show was on Sunday, and that's what I got a chance to. I do remember this. It was freaking hot. It was hot, dude, down there, and it don't help when you're wearing a black Let's Talk Dubs Dickie shirt.
Yeah.
But sat down, Hot VWs. I was in Hot VW's booth, so shout out to Hot VWs for the hospitality, having me get me set up in their booth, and recorded a bunch of podcasts. Matter of fact, I'm looking at the picture right now with the cover that my
Tickle Pink
rag chop was on, and it's Tickled Pink's car.
Last week I was about that when it came in.
Yeah, Alan Yee's car, which is super crazy story about that car. If you haven't listened to that podcast, go back and listen. When he became the show winner of these Hawaiian shows, and then they broke in his garage and torched his car.
Jealousy.
So
trophy chasers, they're vicious people.
Yeah. So, and then the cars in Hawaii were super, super cool. Matter of fact,
God, that was heartbreaking. Some of the pictures you sent me, though, people's cars burned up.
Well, so
that's insanity. Dude.
So let me correct my timeline.
Oh my goodness. All right,
bro, you are mildly mentally damaged, right?
Go on.
You're an idiot. So Saturday morning, we hop a plane and we fly from Oahu over to Maui, and we meet up with the Valley Isle V-Dubs guys. They pick us up at the airport and some buses and a double cab and some stuff like that. So we roll up with those guys, and they're doing a cruise that day, a Cruise for Kurt.
And who are you with? It's just you?
No, it's me, my wife. It's Tom and Shin, and Tom's wife. This guy, bro. I told you put your phone on mute. This is unprofessional, bro. One of us is
doing a podcast. I'll call you later.
Yeah, one of us is a professional recording artist. The other one's name is George.
Listen, I could edit that out of my videos pretty easily.
No, bro. But that's how good I am. I don't edit, bro. We just roll.
So you and Tom, did Tom Kenny go with you? Who was with you?
So on the plane flying over was Ron Fleming, Rich Kimball, Tom Kenny, Shin, Tom's wife Sherry, me, and my wife.
Okay.
That was the six of us. Oh, and one of Tom's friends. That was the six of us that were coming over. We all flew over. It's like a 40-minute flight to Maui. So flew to Maui and then hung out with the Valley Isle V-Dubs guys. And for the life of me, I can't think of the name of the other club that was there, but it was a big Cruise for Kurt. And Kurt was a guy that had unfortunately passed away. He had taken his own life. So it was kind of a cruise about awareness for suicide and some stuff like that. So we were able to cruise with those guys. We got in, we met up at this breakfast place. We all had a breakfast with a group of all of us. From there, we went to the same place where when I went to Maui, and I met with my buddy Keone. He was over there, and that's where I met up with him when I first flew out to Maui. He says, "Hey, meet me over here. I'll have some of the VW guys show up." And it was the same parking lot where they all meet up, the Valley Isle V-Dubs guys. And we get there, and there's probably 25 cars. That's all super cool, chatting with those guys. And then they kick us out of that parking lot. Some lady's like, y'all got to go. Whatever. She's a security lady. So she kicks us out. We head over to a stadium. We all hang out over there while we're getting ready. Some other cars show up. The group gets a little bit bigger. And then we do this this cruise that goes from there. And then I'm trying to think where we went. So we rode from there, and I'm riding the back of somebody's bus, so it's pretty cool. The weather's nice when you're in the shade, and the cool breeze is blowing. We end up going over to, go along the beach, a bunch of little miscellaneous stuff, little places that we stop. And then we stop at this place called Nola's, and it's a restaurant. It's one of the members of the club, and he sets up a big spread, feeds everybody. And so he has his restaurant, and then after a certain point, he stops letting people in, and then just starts letting all the club people just go in and get food, sit down, gives them drinks and all that stuff. It was a super rad event. And then we had to catch a flight. So we go get some pictures taken with the group. They drop all these cars in a soccer field, get a big picture of all these cars. And then we beeline it back to the airport. Literally walk right back in. Our flight's out at 4 o'clock. So we flew over at 6:30 in the morning. We come back at 4:30 in the afternoon. Got back to the hotel. Where my hotel was, I could see the park across the street. And I saw a little bit of action going on over there. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go because I'm just kind of tired. So the next day was the Shaka show in the morning. And the Shaka show was super cool. A couple hundred cars. I think it was like 260 or 270 cars there. A lot of really unique stuff. And Alan Yee that built Tickled Pink, he's just paint body. He had two really, really nice cars there. There was, I mean, there probably had to be like quite a few really, really nice top level cars. And some of the buggies they have there are some of the raddest buggies that are out. But there was everything from split windows to double cabs to everything in between out there. And just a lot of variety, just a mixed group. But
it's everything cow look, or they got
no
Hawaiian look.
Everything. There's cow look cars. There's Hawaiian look cars. There's stock cars. It's a variety of everything.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was cool. And again, all the people I met out there were super cool. Made a lot of friends, and was able to sit down and do some podcasts. And one of the interesting things is on the first podcast I put out with Jody, I had Nelson Durigo on the second one, who owns Frenchie's 54, the old 54 that was the original Duran Kafer Cup car. And we get to chatting, and he starts giving me his whole history about stuff during the podcast. He talks about his dad. Well, after the podcast, I walk over and I start chatting with his dad, and his dad was drag racing in Hawaii back in the 60s. I'm like, dude, and he's in his 80s. I'm like, I need to get you on the podcast just so I have somebody from Hawaii from the really early days of drag racing in Volkswagens that can kind of say, he's like, oh yeah, we had like biggest we could runs at 1800, and we had the dual Zeniths on there, and like he's talking about all the stuff that he had and how fast the cars are running.
He raced. This was in Hawaii, or he'd come to Southern California to race.
He was in Hawaii racing back in the late 60s, early 70s. But really cool story. So I'm going to get him on the podcast just so I can have some of that history nailed down, because he was there in the early days of racing in Hawaii. So,
and you met when you were in Maui, you met people who were actually affected by the fires and stuff that took place there.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of people that were. There's probably, I got a picture about 7 or 8 cars that were just completely wiped out. Some of these cars were in the magazine.
Yeah, Bill was sending me texts. He'd send me, excuse me, he would send me the magazine photo, and then send me the current state of it, which was charred remains. It was insane.
Yeah,
he sent me like 4 of them.
It's wild. And Jody, shout out to my guy Jody. So if you guys go follow VDubs, and it's spelled VEEDUBZ is how it's spelled on Facebook. But go follow those guys. I know I gave him some shirts and stuff, and they were auctioning them off to try to get some money for some of those people. And they're giving the money directly to the people that are affected by this.
Yeah, it's actually going to the locals, and not
situation. Like it's going from the guys you're sending it to the dude who lost his house. It's not going to like some whole organization or some funky deal. So yeah, Jody Medeiros has really just stepped it up in there. He's working in Maui where they've so where in Lahaina where the fire was, you can't get access. Like even if you have a house there or whatever, there's a barricade there and you can't get in. He works in a business where he can get on the inside of that. And you heard on the podcast, it's just one of those things where it's like super eerie because they bring the cadaver dogs in looking for people.
Yeah.
And there's just so much wreckage and stuff like that in there. And they're rebuilding stuff. But it's
That you said that they want tourism though. They
need
still
it.
want, yeah,
they
need
need
people to go to Maui. So
Maui's fairly large. Where Lahaina was, that's just one part of the island, but there's all the other places, and Hawaii really needs our tourism. So if you guys are you get a chance, shoot out to Maui, man. Support our brothers out there, man. They need some.
Check out Old help. Speed USA. He's got a timeshare up for grabs at a very reasonable rate in Maui.
Yeah, it's I think it's in November or something like that sometime. Yeah. But yeah, so that was Hawaii, and so Hawaii was a total blast. We stayed there a couple days afterwards, and the next day, wife and I hung around, did some tourist stuff, and I ran into my boy MZ, Miguel Zepeda, DBK member from
sheer coincidence
NorCal. Too. Matter of fact, the guy that jumped me into DBK was him and Tony Morisi. Yeah, they jumped me in, bro. It was dirty. It was going down up in the Ho, San Jose, bro. That's where they're from. And so I ran into it. Was so crazy because I'm there at the show, and then here I brought my gray DBK shirt, but I was representing Let's Talk Doves, so I had my Let's Talk Doves professional gear on, and here he comes rolling up. I'm like, bro, I got the same shirt at home, And so he's like, bro, what are you doing here? So he had his son that was Evan's age.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we get to chatting, and then the next day we connect after the show, and we end up doing this miserable hike together. So I put up a sticker at the top of this. I mean, what I'm going to tell you right now, this hike is, okay, listen, I can hike. I'm no professional hiker, but because of my affiliation with my church and my youth group, I am mandated that I hike, and they plan all these ridiculous hikes, and I don't say no, and I have to go on these hikes. So for example, earlier this year, we did the Overlook in Zion, and that was 7 miles back and forth. Easy hike, not a difficult hike. Flat, you get out to the Overlook in Zion, and it's this crazy overlook, but it's 3.5 in, 3.5 back. So 7 miles there. The next day, we did the Narrows from the bottom up, while my son and the other boys came down. They did an 11-mile deal. I only did another four. It was like another five miles in and back at the Narrows. So hiking, and that's like ankle deep water with rocks and all that stuff. So hiking is not like, I mean, I don't go, like every time I go on a hike, sure, I'll be sore, but I'm hiking 7, 8, 9 miles. We did a hike in Hawaii, bro. That's a freaking miserable, dude.
How long?
It's 1.5 miles, dude. It's that's why I'm laying the groundwork, because
what's the percentage of the grade?
Oh no, bro, go straight up. It's
like a 6% grade.
It's more than that. There's a lookout tower at the top, where it's like the top of a mountain.
Does it tell you the elevation climb?
I'm sure it does. I'm not worried.
You didn't pay attention to that, huh?
No. Anybody?
Your watch didn't say it. Nothing. Phone.
No. So it's called Coco Crater Hike.
So look up Coco Crater Hike, and I bet it'll tell you the elevation change, because that's going to be the impressive part if it's only 1.5 miles. No, because 1.5 miles sounds silly. I could walk that backwards.
Yeah. So it says to get to know this hike, the elevation gain is 912 feet. Get to know this 1.6 mile hike out and back near Honolulu. The time it takes to go this 1.6 miles, it takes an average of 1.5 hours to do this hike. Now, it's the 1,000+ step walking thing. It's in abandoned railroad ties there's railroad carts that used to go up to the top of this hill to deliver munitions or whatever the case was. Mm-hmm. So the problem is, first, you're on a constant climb straight up.
Yeah, sounds like it.
And you're stepping on the railroad ties because the dirt's kind of washed out between them. So your stride is increased by 8 to 12 inches. So you're taking a longer stride than normal, and you're going vertically uphill. And it was hot, and it was probably 10 o'clock in the morning. We were doing this hike right in dead of sun.
How did it affect Megan?
No, my wife runs 6 miles, bro. Checking, yeah. She's not carrying an extra 80 pounds like me, bro. So she goes up the hill, and for her, it's not crazy. She goes up the hill. It's strenuous. It's strenuous for everybody doing it. And there's a lot of people. Look, there's a lot of fools on this hike. So you went with
Miguel and his family, and you had
No. It was Miguel and his son, me and Megan. Miguel and his 2 sons. So you had
Evan didn't go?
No, because it was just me and Megan in Hawaii. So I got Miss Megan, and she's like bebop, like, she's got all kind of energy, and so she's like, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna hang back here with the kids. Use my excuse to because this is straight up. Like after 10 minutes of this hike, I'm like, this is freaking bullcrap. Just like, I mean, you're climbing, and if you look back when you get halfway up there, it looks like it's going straight down. So when I get to the top of this thing, this is the most rewarding part. And once I get to the top, it's like, this is what I got up to the top and I looked around. All these people were like, oh my gosh. I said, this wasn't worth it. This was not worth it. I could have bought a postcard. I'm upset right now. I'm sweating from...
Wrong attitude.
No, it's not a wrong attitude, bro.
Enjoy the achievement.
It's being realistic. And plus, I'm funny, bro. You got to get my jokes, okay? So I'm up there.
Are you?
Yeah, I am, George. One of us is funny and does a podcast. The other one's name is George. So I get up to the top. I put up a sticker up top. So if you guys look on my Instagram, if you make it that climb, you have earned a free t-shirt. Because that is one... There's not a lot of climbs. I mean, I've done rappelling where I had to rappel because there's no other way around. But it's like this hike, honestly, I was like, you know what? This is stupid. I'm just going to chill right here. I'm not going up the rest of the way. And then I had to get up. I had to get back in bulldozer mode and just like look down and just go into machine mode, just try to get up the hill. Because I'm telling you, bro, it was like straight up. It was strenuous for a guy that's a little bit fat. And then I'm coming down, right? I'm coming down. What'd you say?
A little bit, huh?
Yeah. I'm coming down this freaking hike, and there's a dude. I mean, I'm like, my shirt's wrecked. Everything's dripping with sweat. I look like I jumped out of a pool. It's a bad scene, right? And there's thin, fit-ish people that are really taking a lot of breaks. And one girl, I know she was getting mad because I was pressuring. I was right up on her heels, and I was like, come on, let the fat dude pass you. You know what I mean? I was like trying to just, like, you know, it was my little disrespect move when I was dying on the inside. I was like, stop. And I was like, no, I can't. I got to let her know, like, oh, this ain't nothing to me. So I start moving up this thing, come back down. But pause real quick. If you go up there, get a selfie with the sticker, I will send you a free t-shirt.
You got to post Let's Talk Dubs in your post.
You have to post Let's Talk Dubs. Take a selfie of yourself with that sticker up there, and I will send you a free t-shirt. A free t-shirt of my choosing. So it could be a Let's Talk Dubs shirt, could be a Marlboro t-shirt. I don't know what
it could be. Might be a White Hanes shirt. Who knows?
Could be, bro. So it could be a shirt from the Hobby Lobby. But
you could Sharpie on it. You did it.
So I'm coming back down this hike, and here's a freaking dude. This dude is got a weight vest on, and he got a railroad tie hanging over his shoulder. Hey. So what do I say? There's a bunch of people around.
Some people in life really go after it.
There's a lot. Listen, there's a lot of people around looking at this dude in amazement. And as I'm coming back down, our eyes meet, and I said, "All right, bro, I dropped off the other 6 up top, dude. You might want to take that last one up there. I'm gonna go get lunch." Dude starts cracking up because, of course, one of us is funny here in this podcast.
Definitely.
So it was a perfectly timed joke, and a lot of people were like, that fat dude didn't bring nothing up there, dude. But I was like, back down the hill, got to the bottom, and I was done. I was like, yeah, it kind of ruined my day. I'm not going to lie. I mean, for a week, I was sore, and my wife was sore, who runs, and she's super fit, and all. She was sore, like really sore. Like that night, both of us are like laying in bed, legs cramping up. This is a whole scene.
Getting down, you had to have the expanded gate as well, obviously, because you're walking down the railroad ties.
Well, and you know, walking downhill is harder on your knees than going uphill. And I got bad knees, and there I was, dude, husband of the year, just boom, 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 just trucking up the hill. Like, no, girl, I got this, no big deal. I mean, on the inside, I'm like, this is freaking stupid. Why am I doing this? But well, things we do for love, right? To support the women we love. So
you made it back to Vegas after that.
Made it back to Vegas, chilled here for about a week. And what's crazy is before they invited me to Hot VWs, before they invited me to Hawaii, I think I'd made the comment with Andy. He said, yeah, we're going to go to the Air Mighty show in September. You ought to come up for that. And I said, dude, he's like, we're all going to road trip from here to there. And I was like, bet, dude. I'm like, I'll come up for that. So I told Megan one day, I'm like, hey, I'm going to go up to Europe and do this show, but I'm going to fly there, do a road trip to a car show, hang at a car show for 2 days and come back. You want to go? She's like, that does not sound fun to me. So I said, all right, cool. So my son's birthday was Wednesday. The day we hop on the plane, September 13th, we hop this plane. I got us both tickets. We fly into London. It's a 10-hour flight. Land in London. So we leave here 6 p.m. We land there. So I go from here to LAX and then LAX to London. Land in London at 3:50 in the afternoon the next day. When I land, and our plane got diverted to Detroit because one of the 3 pilots had an emergency, and they can't do international flight across the water without 3 pilots. So they detoured to Detroit, and I already when I'm going, I book my ticket the best I can based on when they're leaving. They're leaving Thursday at 6:00 so they can make it down to the port because they're going to ferry their cars over the North Sea to the Netherlands.
You're referring to Andy and his
Andy and the crew, right? So we got and I'll go over the whole roster when I get to the cars, but so we end up getting diverted, and I'm thinking, oh, this shouldn't be too long. We're supposed to land in London at 2:50, which gives me plenty of time to get to there. Then when I see the diversion, because all of a sudden I get this pop-up on my phone says, thanks for choosing to fly with us to Detroit. I'm like, I ain't going to Detroit. And then I talk to the flight attendant next across from me. Funny enough, she'd been working there 54 years for Delta Airlines. I had to drop some names for Michelle's mom, Ellie. And I was like, oh, you know Ellie? She's like, yeah, I know Ellie. So I was like, oh, yeah, let's kick it. Then I was like, this is the best seats I could afford. I wonder what it's like up in first class. I just kind of threw that out there. See if she's like, you know what? And I said, oh, it's my son's birthday. And I was like waiting for her to be like, oh, let's take you to first class. But it didn't happen. So we get there, and with all the delays, I'm landing in London at 4:50. Everybody's planning on leaving at 6 o'clock. It's 2 hours away from London, where Andy's shop is in Essex. So we land. D schedules a van to pick us up. We grab the van, beeline it straight out there. We get out there. Everybody's just waiting. It's Andy's shop's just there's 5 show cars out front. There's Dennis Hyde's Gia. There's Jim Dick's blue Gia that was just finished recently. There is Lee Masters double cab. And then Mark's Candy Apple Red. I think it's 65 or 66 bug, 66 bug on the gold 3-piece cookie cutters. I mean, freaking gangsters. Cover of Volkswagen car. There's that. And then there's Mark's, I want to say Mark's car off the top of my head. It was a right-hand drive green cow look bug. I'm thinking it was an oval window. I'm not mistaken. It's an oval window, but it's like a 57 or anyway, but it's a cow looker, big motor, all that stuff. So these are pretty much all show cars. And so now we get in the car. So we meet at Andy's place.
Who are you riding with? What do you guys kept the van?
So it's just me. It's just me and Evan. And so we're third wheeling it with whoever. So Evan hops in Lee Masters double cab. That's the double cab that won at Volkswagen this year.
It's beautiful. The red one.
And then I hop in Dennis Hyde's Gia with Andy because we got weight issues. It was me and my boy Travis in there. We're both, but Trav's another third wheeler. So my dog Trav's up in there, and we shuffle around some people. I end up riding with Andy and Dennis Hyde's Gia, and then we set off, and it's a 45 minute to an hour drive to the port. We get to the port, and then we're in line for a little bit, and then they call us in. We roll our cars. So you pull up, like drive right onto a cruise ship, but it's like a lower
ferry.
It's a parking garage. So you pull inside the parking garage, all the cars just get parked, and then we walk up to the elevator and then go up, and it's like a cruise ship on the inside, right? But it's there over the ocean ferry. So when you go at night, it's you have to get a room, and it's a 6 hour crossing. So we got they set us up with a cabin. So we get Evan and I go in cabin. There's bunk beds in there. And it's fairly nice. And I've got a video that'll be coming out pretty soon. Right now, pre-editing, it's about an hour. So I'm going to trim it down a little bit. But there's a lot of really good, a lot of really cool footage. And it really encompasses the whole road trip aspect, because we just flew 10 hours. We just drove 2 hours to get to Andy's place. Then another hour to the port. Then load the cars onto the ferry overnight, 6 hours to the Netherlands, and then we get up, cruise across to.
So when you get to the Netherlands, how far is it to Eremite?
It's another 2.5 hours.
Okay,
so you're talking another 150 miles or whatever the case is. So we hop in, all that stuff, get in the cars, and now we start driving to the Eremite show. And the Eremite show, we get to a couple hours later. We stop at a McDonald's for some breakfast or whatever, and the whole time it's like right out of the gate, it's like we just end up kicking it with these dudes, and we're just like, everybody's just cool, everybody's joking, everybody's just like busting chops.
You're talking about Andy and his mates?
Yeah, everybody, dude. Okay. Like Andy, Jim, Trav, like all these guys were all just razzing. Everybody's just this never ending series of jokes that takes place. So we get to the Air Mighty show and they're setting up the show. So the Air Mighty show is like all invited cars. So if your car gets invited to the Air Mighty show, they've got they got limited space inside, but Neil's kind of thing is quality over quantity. Mm-hmm. So brings the cars in, and I like the way they do it over there, because you saw the cars are set up on pallets and stuff like that. So it's at an old military base that they use in the Netherlands for like conventions or whatever. So they rent out the hangars. And so we go in there. I think I talked to Niels, and he said he had a total of 360 pallets that they had. So they'd arrange the pallets, and they have these ramps so the cars drive up on the pallets. They pull the ramps out. And then he's got these Air Mighty badges that go around the side of the thing.
Little placard.
Just a super freaking cool setup. And, and what's funny from going to Volks World, I get to meet like Irv's, Irv's another guy. He's up in the Lakes district of the UK, and he spits out, a lot of show cars, right? So I run into Irv's again. I'm like, dude, you're coming on the podcast because he kind of dodged me last time. And this year I was able to corner him. And then I saw what you guys will hear about. I'm there, and there's a gold Type 34 Ghia, kind of a cow look. And I go size up. I'm like, hey, it's pretty cool. He redid the seats like a basket or like a biscuit tuck. Mm-hmm. And it's a brown vinyl. It kind of has a cow look. And then out of the corner of my eye, I see like another, again, Sagrinos brothers with the colorblind, right? Mm-hmm. Another, it's a green gold car, almost like a diamond green, right? But I think it's a Ferrari color that's on it. And you'll know why in a minute. So this other Type 34 Ghia, and it's on gold Urskas. The Urskas are the same ones. They're like a radar, but it's got 17s, and they're like a gold, the Escras. Yeah. So that's getting put up on a pallet over across the way. And I'm just kind of like, why would they have two gold Type 34s at this show? Well, the one obviously was a gold green. And then I went to check it out, and it had, so this was built by Rourke O'Rourke, and he's got a shop. He's a coach trimmer in the UK. Mostly works on Ferraris, high-end Ferraris and things like that. He built this Type 34. When I describe it to you, you're going to be like, yeah, but it's super rad. There'll be a whole video just coming out on this Type 34, because when I looked at it, I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't like this. Not from the standpoint of like, I was judging it for something. I just couldn't understand certain things he did. Now, when I did the podcast with him and he told me his history of working on Ferraris and all that stuff, then all the little things that I saw him do connected it to like Italian sports car stuff. Like he did, it's all nickel plated trim, right? Mm-hmm. So the bumpers, everything's all nickel plated. So it's kind of a goldish chrome, right? And then he made these custom door pulls that go across the interior. And then what really caught me, because obviously what he does is interior, the interior fabrics that he used were wild. It was like this textured, it was like a textured fabric down the middle, like a vintage textured fabric. And that's how he started building the car. And it was the seats are like tight because on the Type 34, there's actually pleats that pull the seats down, in the middle section of the seat. Just a really, really, really wild Type 34 Ghia. Bumpers were custom done. He put the beehive taillights on the front, clear ones for turn signals, then cove the bumper around them, and then had the bumpers were painted body color, which was like a diamond green and diamond green gold. And then it had like a piece of aluminum trim around the bumper on top of the chrome, which I was like, no, I don't get that. It's kind of funky. And then the most wild thing about the car is it's got the Mohawk on top of it. So on Type 34 Ghia, there's a double embossing on the front of the hood that comes up. Mm-hmm. And it starts again at the back of the trunk. It goes into the body line. And all of them have that body line swoop, that kind of swoop that you see on the side of the quarter panel. Well, he looked at it, and his angle was like, he said, I wonder if it was just too much work for them to follow that line through the car. And so he made that same body line across the roof, which was super wild. And the more you look at the car, the more you see like little tiny stuff that he did. That was way cool. So, and he's a super cool cat, man. So he'll be coming up on a future podcast. But this Type 34, if you guys subscribe to those magazines, I'm sure you've known the car. I'll be posting some pictures of it. Again, I've got a video, probably a 5 or 6 minute video, of just a walk around the whole car.
So how many? I watched that on Instagram when you put it up. How many cars were at the show?
I think inside the show, like the show cars,
it looked pretty empty. Like when you're walking around, like it's very spread out.
There was 100 and maybe I don't know what you call it, maybe 150 cars inside.
But there were cars outside too, because I saw people posting up.
Correct. So you go outside. Anybody that had a Volkswagen that drove to the show gets to park inside. Which, by the way, my guy Alex. Let me get his last name right so we know who he is. But my guy Alex from Germany, I ran into him over there, and he's a 5-axis CNC Harlequin. No. That's not him. It's a different Alex. Let me see here. I know I follow him on this. But Alex had given me some pieces that he custom machined. So it's oversized door pins for the front of a Beetle, and that he custom machines, and then he gave me a single 36 horsepower pulley instead of like the big nut and the washer. It's machined. So I'm gonna give you a couple of those pieces so you can check them out, and then we'll just shoot him a little plug, and I'll see if I can't plug his stuff for him, because his
oversized door pins. I need some bus ones, not bug ones though.
Yeah. And I think he'd be the guy that could make them. But like I said, his stuff's in Germany, so it might be something that, it makes more sense to buy a bulk order of stuff for the freight, just because if you're going to ship one nut, it's going to be the same as 10. But they're made of a hardened steel. Anyway, we'll do a whole separate product review on that stuff. Yeah. But so the story with Alex is several years ago so the craziest thing about this show, I'm half around the world. I run into people that I know that aren't from there, and it was really great because getting to run into these people was super cool, because this really shows how small the world is, especially when you're doing
talk about the VW world.
Yeah. I mean, it was super cool. I'm just wanting to find his name here. But so Alex calls me 2018 and says, sends me a message on my DBK Vegas website, and he says, I see you have this bus and you're in Las Vegas. My friend is getting married, and I wanted to surprise him and take him and his wife down the strip for a cruise in a Volkswagen. So we're both VW guys. We're really into it here in Germany. So I was like, heck yeah, I'll come over. So he's like, we'll pay you. And I'm like, yeah, they're going to pay me, bro. I'm like, so I cruise over there, stay at the Stratosphere, and I pick him up, take him for a cruise down the strip, and then we bring them back here to the house, and they look at all the cars over here, and then we switch cars, hop in the double cab, and I go to take them back. And it was really eventful because I was having some issues with the double cab starting or something like that after we stopped to get gas, but we saved the day and got him home. But yeah, it was super cool. So I run into him. He's from Germany, so he's at the show. And then as I'm walking around, there's a couple that I notice, and it's Christian and I got it. I wrote it down. What is his wife's name? Why can't I remember? So it's a couple that I met at the Type 3 rally that happened to be down in Southern California. They're at the Type 3 rally. They're from Australia. And they're at that show. And they're like, what are you doing here? I'm like, what am I doing here? What are you doing here? You're from Australia. And they were taking 2 weeks to go cruise around. He's got family in France. And so he decided to visit them, and he grabbed an RV and was like, I'm just going to shoot up to this Air Mighty show. So he's there. I run into him, which is wild. And then I probably meet 5 or 6 podcast listeners while I'm there, and get a bunch of pictures with a bunch of people. And luckily while I was there, I'm able to do, I was working like a dog, dude. Like the first day I did only 2 podcasts, but I was just trying to get people, everybody's getting set up and stuff for the show. And then second day, I ended up getting 3 more podcasts. So I got a total of 5. And then when I got back to Andy's shop, his neighbor is a well-known VW drag racing guy, and he was in Drag Racing Hall of Fame there for VW Action Magazine, John Brewster. So I interviewed him. So I ended up leaving the UK with a total of 6 podcasts. So that's something I'm super excited to have, because it's just a ton of content, a lot of cool guys. I interviewed Mario Mario from Type 3 headquarters. So he has done a lot of NOS Type 3 stuff. Like he's the NOS Type 3 guy up in Europe. And Irv with Irv's Customs, Rourke O'Rourke. I interviewed him. Chris Godden. Chris Godden has a late model Ghia that he built completely himself. He custom did some three-piece Fuchs that he's working with a company to make them, so he's gonna start selling those through his website, which I mentioned on the podcast. And I talked about some of theirs, and I sat with Niels with Air Mighty, so we hammer out a podcast with Niels from Air Mighty, get all the whole history of Air Mighty, how it all came to be, how he started, all that stuff. Talk about his collection, a bunch of cool stuff, and then who else do I end up meeting with? I end up meeting with some other people. So and I can't off the top of my head just trying to remember everybody that I ran into. It was just a great weekend altogether. The cars there are super cool. There's one car that I met a guy from France, and he had a 13-window bus. He says, "Hey, can I get my picture with you? And come check out my bus." So I check out his bus. It's a super nice 13-window deluxe that he's restored. He bought it. He bought it there in Europe. It was exported from the States to Europe. Restored it. He's got a super cool story of tracking down the original owner of it, and it was he works in law enforcement there, and we were talking for a little bit, and then he reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you do any research and track down the original guy that bought this thing?" And he gave me the guy's name, was a military name, so I'm going to do some research, see if I can track down the guy, because he called the guy that bought the bus used. And the guy that bought the bus used bought it in 76. It's a 13-window deluxe, and I think it's a 66. And he kept calling this dude over and over again, and this guy finally picks the phone and he goes, "What is my bus doing in Belgium?" You know what I mean? And so he ends up talking to the guy that bought it, and the guy gave him the whole story on the bus. Told him the bus's name is As Is, because when it was sold as is, because it was sold as a used car. And the guy bought it in 1974 for $300 from a dealership. So, but yeah, so many cool cars there. There's a lot of really different styles.
Everything that was inside was a past feature in Air Mighty?
Yeah, everything's been featured either in Air Mighty or it's been a known car. So it was like
Dennis Hyde's Ghia feature in Air Mighty?
Yep. So the whole crew with Andy. So when we go there, I've got Tony with the red 66 and his wife. We've got Jim Dix in the blue Ghia. We've got Lee Masters in the double cab. We've got Andy, and we've got Andy with Dennis Hyde Ghia, and we've got Mark with the Cowlook bug. Yeah, right-hand drive. They took 4 trophies out of the top 20. So they took 4 trophies, a total of 7 the guys from the UK took. But now, mind you, these are all show cars that just drove like 250, 300 miles, plus took a ferry to come to this thing. And we all, it was a super cool trip because these cars are just runners, and they're just like 1776s, nothing monstrous. One of the guys got a big 2-liter. Matter of fact, 2 of the guys have 2 liters. And, but it was just, as I'm driving in Andy's car, I'm like, bro, I just need to finish. That's all I kept saying. I just got to finish my Ghia, dude. I'm like, I got this big monster motor for it, and I don't need a monster motor. I just need the right tranny. And, because if you're just cruising, right? And, I mean, you're talking hours in that Hyde's Ghia, and that thing is solid as a rock, quiet inside. We have a conversation, whatever, and it's just cruising. So it was super fun. So those guys cleaned up. They all took trophies. Best of show went to Irv's son with a famous 90s Cowlook bug that was a 1954 right-hand drive, original right-hand drive, 54 Beetle that was from England. It had been well known. And come to find out, there's this John Mayer Racing. That's a guy from England. One of the interesting things
Not the American guitar player?
No. No.
John Mayer.
Mayer, but this is Mahre or whatever.
That's true. Let's move on.
No. Even crazier. So this John Mayer that builds engines used to be John Mayer Racing. He's the drummer for the Buzzcocks. Crazy, bro. Like OG punk band. But what I'm saying is like John Mayer. What I'm saying is John Mayer Racing in England was an engine builder. This car was really famous because there's a TV show called Stars and Their Cars or something like that. And this black bug is featured in there doing this crazy nasty burnout with all kinds of power. So, but I thought that was super cool because I'm like, man, well, that's a double interview for me. But apparently this guy's like a super recluse. Like he lives on an island off of Scotland somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Nobody could hold. Like he used to be down in the VW scene racing all the time.
This is the drummer for the Buzzcock?
John Mayer. Yeah. So it was really interesting as far as like, I didn't even know that because I said, oh yeah, because one guy's telling me, he's like, yeah, he was the drummer for a punk rock band. I'm like, what punk rock band was this?
So even after the show and everything, you guys still had a whole 2-day adventure to go home.
Oh yeah,
you had the ferry. So
leaving, so it's Mayer, Maher, John Mayer. So John Mayer Racing, he's got a website. So going back to the show, we end up loading up. The show's over at 4. So now it's a 2.5 hour ride. And I think the thing loads at like 7 o'clock. I mean, it's going to be close. So we take off and, like we literally barely make it. When I say Andy and I are the last car on the boat, like we're the last car and the ramp goes up, the tailgate's behind us. And it's like, dude, we could not have been more. Like when we first came over the ferry, we were up front.
Yeah.
When on this ride back, we had just barely squeezed on the ferry. So, yeah, we did that, another overnight tour. And bro, when I tell you it was laughs, dude, it was like being with some of my best buddies over here. We're just roasting each other, just cracking up, just jokes the whole time. I mean, I'm going to be doing a follow-up with Andy on this trip because there's a whole thing that takes place. This burger place it's out of control. And it was just the wildest time. But what was so cool is like, you know, you go across the world, you hang out with these guys, and I was talking to Andy, and I'm like, well, how did we meet? And then I was like, he's like, well, you just messaged me on Instagram, and you were like, want to do a podcast with me? And I was like, yeah, that's how we met. We met through the podcast. But we met through the podcast. Then he came out for the show, and then, you know, we did all that stuff and hanging out, just meeting over the phone, just becoming buddies over the phone and FaceTime back and forth. But now,
did you have anything with him getting Dennis's gear or no?
No.
Okay, so that was all.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was happening. Like VW Kid calls me on the side, like, "Hey, bro, that guy Andy Finch in the UK got this gear," but this was after I'd already talked to him. But he kind of called me, let me know that Andy was picking it up, and then Andy sent me some stuff on it.
Because he did 2 podcasts with Andy, because he did one about the Hyde gear as well. So
right, the whole story. And if you haven't heard that podcast, go back and listen to it because it's a crazy story. And to know that car that he received about a year, 2 years ago was a show only car. And that car is a show car that just drove 300 miles. All those cars out of Spike's place, all of them, full blown show cars. These are show cars. And the guys threw their luggage inside and hauled them a couple 100 miles. The advantage when they got over there, they don't like over here, it's a little dangerous with the desert, right? You're going to chip your paint, stuff like that, because there's a lot of stuff on the road. But over there, once they got, the roads in England are terrible, but once we got to the Netherlands, the highways over there are super, like everything's new and flat, and, you know, they keep their stuff pretty tight over there. But yeah, it was such a good time, man, to go hang out with those guys. It was like, and all the guys, Trav, Mark, Jim, Tony, Jim, oh yeah, I already said Jim, Andy, you know, all the guys over there are just totally cool. Like they're all my boys. Like any of them there come to town, hang out, just fit right in, you know, just like with your buddies you've been with forever. So it was such a great time. And to be able to do that in those cars is what the coolest thing was. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So we get back to Andy's shop, and I'm not going back home so we drive back we wake up. So we drive to the ferry Sunday night. It's an overnight ferry. So you go to sleep on the ferry, wake up in the morning at like 5:30 or 6, wake up. And then we got in the cars, got to Andy's place. It's Monday now when we're at Andy's place, and it's got to be probably around 11 or 12 o'clock, hanging out over there. And then Andy's got to get back to work. Like, he's got all kind of stuff happening in the shop. So he's like, oh, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, dude, don't be obligated about me. I'm like, I'll talk to your neighbor and interview him. So I interview John Brewster for probably, I think we're like an hour and 20 minutes on the podcast, just getting a bunch
Who's
of
John Brewster?
history. So John Brewster is one of the early drag racers from the UK. He worked for
VW.
Yeah, VW drag racer, and he drag raced.
And he just so happens to have the space next to Andy.
He's the one. He does all Andy's metal work. So he's got a company called JB Fab.
Mm-hmm.
JB Fab. Tell you what it's called.
So he does the panel replacement.
Yeah, JB's Elite Fabrications. If you guys want to follow him on Instagram, so he's got a lot of history. Drag racing and he's got a really cool story that you'll hear on the podcast, but he had I'm just going to go to his pictures here. He's got a car called Unfinished Business. So he does like maintenance. He grew up in the VW world, like worked for this company called, it's real famous over there. It's Auto Caravan is the name of the company. They were like the big VW place in the early 80s and all that stuff. So he worked for them, drag race for them, did a bunch of stuff, and then now he's out on his own and he's just doing like metal fab work, and he does like crazy rad fab work, like bead roll, whatever you want. But he also does full maintenance service and all that stuff, builds it. Doesn't really
VW shop or anything shop?
No. Well, it's mostly VW. I mean, he can do anything, but he does like he built all his a lot of custom stuff on his drag turbo drag bug and stuff like that. So he's just a well-rounded, super skilled dude. Just the nicest guy. So I got to chill with him for a little bit, and then Andy, those guys. Where did we go? I think we went, found a hotel nearby his house in this old village, and so they dropped us off over there. We kind of got just freshened up real quick and then went out for dinner. Went and had Thai-ish food. It wasn't really Thai food because they didn't have any of the traditional Thai meals. I'm like, you guys got this? Nope. You got that? Nope. But they called it Thai something or other. But went and had dinner, and then the next morning Evan and I just cruised around the town. It was called Coglet was the name of the town. And we cruised around there for a couple hours, just waiting for our van to pick us up. And then it was like, as soon as we're back from the car show and doing all that stuff, it's like, boom, back on the deal again. And then we're off back in the van, 2 hours to go to Coggeshall. Coggeshall is the name of the little village we're in. But we hopped in the van and head back to that, and on for a 10-hour flight home, which was it's something I wasn't looking forward to. On the flight there, I had the front exit row where you have nobody in front of you, which is nice. But they're real tight, the seats are begin with, and when the guy in front of you leans back and he just 8 inches closer to your face, it starts to get a little claustrophobic for a 10-hour ride.
Yeah. So
other than the 10-hour trip over there, it's a great time, but totally worth it, man. I'm super glad that I did it, and I made some serious good friends up there in the UK. So I would definitely, and the Air Mighty show is going to be every 2 years. It's not every year. So the next one will be in 25. So that'll give everybody enough time to, it's worth it to go do, and it's cool. There's not a lot to do in the Netherlands. I guess if you like to party and drink and stuff like that, there's always like the downtown area where everybody was. And we went down there after dinner, just kind of met up with Irv's guys and a bunch of people like that. And it was pretty crazy. It was a lot going on, but it's like an open kind of old downtown area where it's a bunch of outdoors eating and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool, man. It was definitely a great time. 2 times to Europe in 1 year is a lot, Yeah, just the flights is that it's 10 hours on a tube in the sky is a long time. So, but yeah, totally rad. It couldn't have been more fun, man. All it did was doing that motivated me so much to come back. And I was like, I got to focus in on my gear. My gear is not that far. It's just weeks of doing little things to get it done. It's like the first thing I do is knock out the suspension.
How to eat an elephant, one bite at a time.
Right.
That's all it takes. Just chip away at it.
Yeah, and I just got to keep my attention from getting diverted because I get too many things popping up.
That's impossible.
Well, I have this weekend.
Get a dry erase board.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I didn't schedule a swap meet this weekend. You did. You are in charge of your time. No one else is in charge of it but you.
Yeah, I don't have a choice.
You step on my toes too with that too, because I get roped into this malarkey.
And listen, it's the sacrifice you get for having such
This
cool
might
brother.
be the last auto swap meet, people.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that was super cool. And if you guys get a chance to go to Europe, it's really.
I love Air Mighty magazine because it's a dope magazine, and just the way the cars looked on the pallets, the quality of cars that were there.
Yeah,
I'm with Niels on that. It's quality over quantity, in my opinion, always.
And that's the thing with the inside of the show. The inside of the show is like all the, and the thing is, there was a couple like ratty cars in there, but these were ratty cars that the whole chassis done underneath and all that stuff. But they kind of have.
Everybody's always featured Patina's cars, though. I remember
right.
Yeah.
They kind of have a whole vibe to them. So it was super cool.
And I don't have a problem with a Patina car if it is a solid car. If they have the nice underpinnings and everything like that.
Yeah, what was interesting
I drive one, so what am I talking about?
What was interesting is in the inside of when you're inside the venue, you can't go buy a drink or any kind of stuff. You have to go buy these little plastic chips that are worth like $3 a piece. And these had like the A for the Air Mighty on them. Mm-hmm. And so you'd had to go to a window and give them cash for these plastic chips.
To get a soda?
Then you'd buy something, you had to use the plastic chips. I guess that's so people aren't handling money. I don't know, but
was that like a restriction?
It was just
health reasons.
Just when you're in there. I think it's so they can control the money. So the money goes in one location and there's no funny business. Yeah. But yeah, I drank a lot of Red Bull up there because they don't got the drinks they do have.
They don't have Blue Monster or Rockstar.
No, it's hard to find. Whatever does he drink? Dude. Blue Rockstar, dude.
Malarkey.
But yeah, it was a good time. The swap meet outside was. I didn't really want to look around. There was a lot of vendors and stuff there doing swaps.
You have the problem of trying to get it home too.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to look at anything. Plus, I mean, it's like
you'd find something super cool and it's big.
Yeah, where do you start, right? Like, where do you start when you're looking at stuff? So, anyway, yeah, that was my last couple of weeks, man. So I'm kind of the crazy part is like I'm kind of like traveled out. Like I'm okay if I don't travel for a while, and I'm looking forward to the show coming up.
I'm looking forward to our show. Yeah. That's going to be a blast. And then right after that, the next weekend's Octo. And I'm looking forward to doing that drive down there.
Yeah. So the plan is, one of the things is Andy's going to go down to LA for that part of that week. Mm-hmm. Then he's going to meet us at Octo and then drive back with all of us from Octo. Unfortunately, I'm probably trailering down there because I've got to bring another car for something else to drop off over there. So I got myself roped into something else.
Always roping.
So
roper.
But yeah, so what's new with you over there, George T?
Oh, just living in the dream. We got a bus to move on hydraulics today, which was pretty darn cool.
My bus.
Yeah, it's Bill's bus. I actually got to go up and down. I would have taken a video of it, but every time I'd set a camera up, it wouldn't move every time I hit the switch because the battery I was trying to use was dead as a doornail.
What about the battery that's in the bus?
What battery would that be? There's no motor in the bus. There's nothing in the bus.
Well, where's the battery that was in it?
I don't know. I'll look on your rack, but I don't know.
Yeah, because we drove in there running, right? We only pulled the motor out
in your car
to put in the double cab.
Yeah. I don't know. Your battery might be on the rack or something. I don't know. Well, it's been there 4 years, so that battery's probably dead as a doornail too.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think? It's
good times.
Fresh and been on a tender.
Good times. So did you lift the bus up and it stayed there?
Yeah, it's up right now.
Okay.
It's up like almost stock height now.
How does it steer?
Skies, dude. The back skies.
How does it steer?
Fine.
How does it steer with the rack and pinion? Noticeably different or no noticeable different?
Moved it from one space to the other, so it's not like it was oh, this is so easy with this rack and pinion.
Right.
I didn't catch that. But we also got a bunch of work happening on Andy Finch's. I got a YouTube channel now, The Wagon on YouTube, and this week's video will be the installation of Cage 66 drop plates, 1-inch drop plates in the rear of Gia. So that'll be a cool little video coming up. And I think this week I'll be filming a steering box raise. That's a big commitment right there to put in video, but I'm going to go for it.
This week, a steering box raise?
That's what I'm going to film this week. I'll be filming that on not this week, next week on Monday. I'm going to film that one.
Yeah, it's what a lot of people are doing. I think you really need to do a video on tuning carbs. You got to do that.
I've actually got a couple of requests for that, so I will be doing that. But that's right time, right place. Like I need everything that's been filmed thus far for my show or for my channel has been or has been because I'm doing it at the time.
Right.
I just haven't happened to had to sync carbs. And when I did, there's like a couple of little screw turns here and there. It's not the true essence of a carb syncing video because it's much more detailed than that. And that's going to be a long video.
Yeah, I'm telling you, after riding with those guys in that car, all I could think is like,
get your hand out your mouth. It sounds funny on the thing.
It's all right. Everybody's just fine. All I was thinking about was on the rag chop, I've got to change the transaxle in that thing because it's geared too short. It's RPMs are way too high for the speed I'm doing on the freeway, and I'd like to get it a little bit.
So it's more of a cruiser.
More of a cruiser. I'm looking at the picture, and it sits lower in the front than it does in that picture, and so I think I'm going to raise the front up a little bit just because.
Adjustable beam, raise it.
The front kind of hits some stuff when you're pulling.
Did we change the beam on it? We did. We put a narrowed beam on it. So all we got to do is raise it up a little bit. It should have adjustable.
Yeah. So, Anyway, I'm trying to think what else I got going on. So I talked to Buddy recently about the split. He's working on the pan. His goal is to get it back on the pan here within a reasonable amount of time, and then just get it back over to me with the body bolted on the pan, and then I just got to finish it from there. Windows and just finish the shell. So my goal is to get the Type 34 put together before then, and now I'm just sitting here back and forth in my head with the motor because I'm like, I've got a big 2276 to go in it right now, and I know I sent Russell the carbs and stuff like that. And then he was like, "Well, we got to get manifolds." And then I think it's kind of waiting right now. But I almost just want to just pick up the long block.
For if they're 44s.
They're
IDFs.
They're DCNFs.
Oh,
yeah. So don't be a hater, bro.
Yeah.
Gary.
I just
Berg,
worked on
Gary Berg says.
I got you. I just did Rodney Pinkerton's squareback, and he had DCNFs on it, and they were fine, but they're just not crisp. That's one thing I'm gonna say. Like, the snap I can get out of a set of IDFs compared to DCNFs.
But you're talking about short manifold, a really short manifold car. That makes a big difference in the snappiness, bro. I don't care what you say because it's all about the flow.
But I can get squarebacks on HPMXs or IDFs to be snappy.
I don't know about all that.
Yeah, you had Dells on yours, bro.
We'll see.
With an intake leak.
Who?
Your last squareback.
I wasn't even talking about that last squareback, which I regret selling, but nonetheless.
Jesse Nakata hit me up about lowering in the front. I said I made a video on it. You can watch it yourself and do it.
It's too low. It's too low already.
Let's put it lower. I said if you lower it any more than it is now, you're gonna have to shave the nuts on the back. Watch the video. You can shave your nuts.
That's the other thing about driving with all those guys. Andy's car sits super low, the Gia, and he's got air shocks in the front to raise the front up. So anytime it gets into like a situation where
it ride when it's up.
Good. Right.
Is he running those new line bug ones that raise and then have a separate shock?
No. He's running just Monroe air shocks in the front.
Yeah.
Raise it up when he drives, like especially when we start hitting some of the low stuff. Because every time we go over something, it was scrape on his side. So weird. That's super weird. But it's
if you plan on lowering that, we should shave the front of yours as well. It's not that difficult to do.
I don't like super. After driving with these guys all those miles, I don't like.
You just said how Andy's gear was super low.
No, he does, bro, and I don't know how he does it, bro. I don't know. I mean, he's
commitment, bro.
He's mystical, dude. He's mystical, and magical. But everybody's got those air shocks in the front. I mean, Jim's got them on his car. Everybody that sits low's got. I mean, Lee didn't have them because Lee was rubbing tires in a double cab, but he didn't tub his double cab, and he's low. And it's like, as soon as he had him and Ev in there, dude, every time they hit a dip, of course, you know what happens in a bus is not tubbed.
Inside lip.
So
that's on 15-inch wheels, though, right?
Yeah.
It's not as bad. Once you start dipping them 17s, your car doesn't even move anymore when it's juiced out. I can't even say aired out. It's juiced out. It won't move in the front anymore. It's too low.
Did the Rams move relatively quick?
Yeah. When they move, they go, Drit!
Nice.
So I filled it and bled it today. Did all the wiring. I've got 2 batteries charging right now, so hopefully tomorrow I'll actually be able to post a reel about it with the bus going up and down, hopefully.
And then re-index the rear.
Yeah, the back's got to get re-indexed so bad. It's so funny because the front will literally dang near put the nose of the bus on the ground because the back is so high when the front goes down, it goes down extreme.
Also, we've got a 2-inch raised beam. The beam is raised.
You guys got crazy on that front end.
Wow.
It's almost too well. It is too low now because now when it juices out, it doesn't move. Your wheels are in your tubs, like stuffed in there. They're broken in there, like you couldn't roll it. So if there's ever a hydraulic failure, I hope not. Thing's stuck there.
It wouldn't be.
But the good thing is, if there's a hydraulic failure, say in the rear, it's not going to affect the front. They're on separate circuits.
Yeah, but there's no way to have a hydraulic failure.
No, there isn't. No, and especially like if you look at the way we installed it, your line is secured. But every foot going down
the duty cycle on those cylinders.
Yeah, you'd have a failure from something like a line failing or something like that. It's not going to be from the rams.
What I'm saying is, you wouldn't even have that because the amount of pressure that pump builds, the lines are designed for 10 times the amount of pressure that can build. So those lift gate motors don't do it, which is why I thought the system was a great concept that needs.
It's an excellent concept. Actually,
so much refining. It's an understatement.
Well, it would need somebody to take it over to build it that would be giving detailed instructions and potentially make a video for the installation for people. And it needs to be a more complete kit, meaning like the steering should be accounted for. If I can buy a Creative Engineering rack and pinion steering and I get a steering column and a steering shaft and everything with it, why couldn't that Demon Motorsport come with it? But regardless, it looks beautiful now. I'm stoked on it. We got your Spring Alex steering wheel in there, which we've been trying to get in there for years, and it's in there now.
That steering wheel does look good.
It looks really good in there. It's a little small, but I think because of the rack and pinion, it's going to be workable. Because it isn't, like when I moved it, it isn't hard. Like I'm pushing the car by myself and steering it through the window, and it's not difficult to steer. So I think you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
So I got to do a couple mods. I got to get your bay tank in. And I want to put your motor compartment in high build epoxy prime. So when Kenny gets it, he can just spray. He can just do what he's going to do. So, and I got to do the body work on your rear apron. Or give that to Kenny if Kenny's willing to finish it.
Yeah. I mean, well, I'm looking forward to getting that thing back on the road. And then I just got to figure out, I don't know. I got so much stuff going on.
You do have a lot. What is going on with the carbon cab motor? Anything? Any updates?
I haven't even stopped by there to see what's going on.
Let's make a plan for that this week, just to check in and let know. Especially now that thing is able to move. You know, it'd be nice to start buttoning some of the stuff up on it.
No doubt.
Because I'm sure if you do give it to Kenny Fitzer a spray, he'll get it done in a timely manner, and then it's going to be on us to get it back together and get it running.
And I may need to reach out to Nick with Airteriors and just have him quote me all the panels to ship over the panels from the UK for my bus, so I could do that seating, because I really like the seating that he has in there. There's another guy named Mark up there in the UK that's got that barn door, the right-hand drive barn door that was on the 5-spokes American Racings, and he had one of Nick's interiors in there. It was super cool, and I thought, you know what? I just got to just bite the bullet and have Nick design whatever it is, and just have him send me the panels. And
I'll give him the measurement as to where the pump and everything exists, to make sure that whatever his template is going to fit over it. Which I'm 100% confident. Obviously, you couldn't put a stock seat back in there because of the stock legs, but as far as a bench, if anybody's going to build it, that stuff should easily fit where I place the pump and all that stuff.
Yeah, I just want it, once that bus leaves to get painted, I want it to just go from one thing to the next and just get it back on the road. I don't want it to, I can't handle it dying no more, because I looked at the video the other day. It was 2018 when I tore it apart, and I'm like, I should have never tore it apart, but I'm where I'm at now, and it should be so much different of a bus now when it hits the road. I mean, it's like a whole new bus. Yeah. So, actually the thought struck me, like, to actually take the logos and have them actually painted on the paint, but like the Bull Run logos, if I was going to do that, but change everything from bullrun.com to Let's Talk Dubs. But
and put the 01 and everything back on it.
I thought that for a second. No, you never know.
I'd have Kenny do top and bottom. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to repaint everything, but there's so many scratches on the red, and like if you have this really beautiful black, it's like there's so, like, I'm looking at it, like where the belly pans were welded on, the rockers all have the paint missing along there. It's just like it's getting to the point now. It's gonna be like, hey Kenny, you're gonna be painting the red too.
You know, I'm trying to avoid. Again,
just the exterior.
The interior, I'm just trying not to keep going down another rabbit hole and another rabbit hole. I just want the car back on the road. Again, I looked at a video the other day from 2018. And I thought, I wish I never tore this thing apart, because I just don't like having it apart and having another project I didn't need when I thought it was going to be a simple roof swap, and then it turned into a roof swap.
Just a simple roof swap.
A roof swap.
Just rip the roof off the car and change it completely.
Well, again, I thought it was going to be a little more simple than it was. But listen, it blew up into what it is, and there's nothing I can change about that. But
we also weren't planning on doing a hydraulic system when you first tore it apart.
Correct. And that's the trouble the podcast gets you into, because you hear some stuff, and then
you get sold.
And next thing you know, bro, you're a customer. So
you're a customer crony.
Yeah. So the plan is after One Crazy Weekend is Octo, and then I think it kind of quiets down for the rest of the year. I don't know what else would be coming up, but it's definitely been a year full of crazy stuff. The prison podcast, I just finished episode 8. I sent it off to Ryan Connect about 2 weeks ago, so I think I might get it back in a week or so. So if you're interested in hearing how the end of that works out, that's the final episode, and that one should be out in the next couple of weeks. So that'd be cool. Get that done. Just so many things I had on my plate to do, and it took me forever. It took me 3-4 months just to get that last episode recorded, because the last episode had a lot going on, and I think it's like an hour and a half long. But yeah, I got that done, and my goal for the rest of this year is just, I really want to get the Type 34, especially after seeing all those cars. I'm just kind of like, I just want my Type 34 to be a turnkey driver. Like after riding with Andy in the Gia, I'm like, I don't need it to have a 2276 and all kinds of difficult stuff. I need it to be like bulletproof, reliable, turn the key, it starts, and I just go. You know what I mean? Like, because again, sometimes you get
displacement doesn't make it unreliable.
Well, not saying that, but what I'm talking about is like some of those smaller motors just run for, they're like super reliable.
You just simplify what you're having on it. Like if you're going to have those, like the DCNFs, why?
Because they fit underneath the deck lid.
So do IDFs. They fit under a deck lid as well. And you put the Ram Pros on them, and they'll run better. I have the manifold sitting at the shop for them. There's no manifold search for it. Just buy some HPMX cars and put them on the darn thing.
I have 48 IDFs over here.
There you go. We're done and done.
Chrome.
Keep it simple.
Chrome.
And if you want to get things done in your cars, you need to start making lists and start knocking these things out on your list.
So you have the shorty manifolds.
Yep.
That'll work for the wedge port heads. They're real fat bases.
No, they'll have to be ported to match.
Do they need to be welded?
I don't know. That'd be their
I don't know.
call.
That's probably going to be the week that I go down for the Octo show. That's probably going to be going on with that. Go to Russell's and kind of figure out where that's at, because I still need to get all my steering rods and stuff so I can at least get the front end going. Wheels are powder coated the wrong color, so I need to get that situated. So I got to drop wheels off to get repowder coated, so I can get tires mounted on. So that, because just getting that car to sit on the ground and steering wheel connected would get me so motivated to just finish the rest of the car. You know what I mean? So, and after seeing Rourke's car with the Gia with the interior, bro, I'm telling you, wait to see my video on that. Like the detail stuff that he has on that car is so cool. And
I was watching the video that you put on Instagram.
Once you understand like all the stuff that he did,
stuff, I saw it.
That's from, but when I saw that's the first thing I saw. I'm like, what is those headrests? Like, I'm judging this car from 24. Like, bro, what is going on over here? Then when I got over there, talked to him, figured out what he does, and then he told me the inspiration, because he works on Italian cars all the time. Like, this is how Italian cars are. Like the rear parcel tray being black instead of upholstery color, because Ferraris all have like a black rim, dashboard, door panels, caps, all the stuff, rear deck, it's all black. The lower color is something else. And so then there was a footrest bar underneath. And then, he just had a lot of super cool pieces, So it's, it got me super motivated, riding the Andy's Gia and knowing that I got like an adult size Gia, super, super pumped up. Like, man, I just gotta get my car on the road. And as much as I might even, that's my problem. Like I might even change seats. Like the Type 34 seats are meh, they're nothing to scream about from comfort wise. And then they're really big, and so I'm thinking if I put a little more of a sport seat in there with low back, give me some more interior room and just be nice. I mean, that's my problem. Is like I started building a car and like, I was gonna do this,
change something up on that. And then
it just keeps snowballing. So
I think the problem's you.
It is.
The problem is you.
It is.
Figured it out.
So
took a deep dive right now, and the problem is you.
But anyway, so I don't know. I think this wraps it up. We've got everything kind of
all right, everybody.
discussed.
One crazy weekend, October 6th and 7th in Las Vegas, Nevada, at the Orleans Hotel and Casino. It's going to be good times. You get a chance to win $1,500 in that poker run.
That's right.
$1,500.
Somebody,
and it's a good time.
Yeah, somebody listen.
So our stops right now are SoCal Speed Shop, Nevada Off-Road Buggy, The Wagon, the Orleans.
Yeah, there's one more spot's going to be disclosed sooner than later. Yeah, I'm not worried about it. You worry too much. I'm not worried about it.
It's gonna be good times, everybody.
Yeah, it'd be a great, really good time. It'd be a great time. I think we may have to relocate the family thing just because it's so far out of the way.
Yeah, the dealership is a trek. It's actually another town called Henderson. If you're familiar with Nevada, it's in Henderson. So
I think I looped the run because there's a guy coming with an electric bug. I want to know the distance of the whole thing, and it's 44 miles currently as it is. So we'll probably shave 20 miles off that by having a different, if not more.
Yeah,
because I think it might be. It might be somewhere in the neighborhood of
maybe the Beetle Bar is our fourth stop.
We'll see. We'll don't worry. We'll be
figure
worth
that out.
It will be worth it. Trust
Sunday
me.
morning at the Wagon, 9 a.m. We're doing a bike ride. For anybody who made it this far in the podcast.
Okay, be clear. After
Sunday,
the show,
October 8th.
After the show,
Sunday morning, October 8th, 9 a.m. at the Wagon. We're doing a bike ride.
You are not making it there at 9 o'clock in the morning. I don't care what you say, whatever you want, bro.
I'm there at 7:30 every morning. Why wouldn't I make it there at 9?
Because Saturday night, you're going to stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning hanging out with everybody at the hotel.
No.
Okay. You say what
regardless,
you want.
9 o'clock, ride at the Wagon. Bring a bike. It'll be good times. Downtown Las Vegas ride. If you made it this far and you show up, you're going on a ride with us.
Yeah.
That's it.
Nope. So, guys, don't forget to check out our sponsors, VW Trends Magazine. Subscribe today at VWTrendsMagazine.com and also Ross Wolf, which I'm pretty sure the guys from Ross Wolf are going to be down.
They will be
at the event. So
Eric Black just bought his double cab.
Oh, did he? Eric
did.
Eric bought his double cab?
He did.
Nice.
He texted me while I was he was in Utah, and he said, "What do you think of Jason's double cab?" And he told me the price, and I said, "Super fair price, like super fair price."
Right.
And so I'm thinking like, oh, he got it, cool, because he's like, that's what I thought too. So I talked to Scott Moses, and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure Eric bought that double cab. And he's like, oh, that's awesome. I'm like, yeah, I'm stoked for him. And then Eric comes over to my shop to bring lunch over and just hang out. And I said, dude, I'm so stoked you got that. He said, oh, I didn't get it. He said, some guy offered to trade him for a 911, like straight across. So Jason was going for that. And I was like, oh, what a bummer, dude. And then another guy.
So hold on. So he didn't get it? Because you just brought me into the story saying he got it.
He didn't get it that day. Because right after the Porsche guy came up to him, another guy came up and offered him full asking price and said, yeah, I'll give it to you cash. So when Eric finally went up to talk to him, he said, hey, yeah, not a problem. I already got 2 offers, and I think I'm going to take the one trading for the Porsche. The guy backed out of trading for the Porsche. The guy who offered the full price offer, it was contingent on him selling his business.
Wow.
So Eric swooped in, and he got himself a double cab. And I think it's a clean double cab. I mean, he drove all the way to Octo with us without a hiccup. So I was like, bro, you already know it's a driver. You know, you couldn't build it for that much for what you paid for it. So, yeah, great deal.
I'm trying to think who had the double cab longest here. It was me.
Scott Moses.
Nope. No, I owned it before Scott.
Yeah, but Scott's had his longest.
No.
As far as one person owning it the whole time, he's had it the longest.
No, bro.
Scott wins.
He doesn't, bro, because it was my double cab. It was my double cab. Second, I gave it its
Secondly.
name. Yeah. Forget it, bro. But anyway, his was ugly when mine was finished, which my finishing mine, if I never finished mine, his would still be in that ugly red Zolatone, bro. He would be like, it's cool, bro. And when I finished
that Moses retardation.
when I finished my bus, that's what motivated him he had to get some paint on his because he couldn't be one-upped.
All right, guys, I'm at 750 subscribers, 748. Let's get me up to 1,000, guys. Go to the Wagon on YouTube.
You want to talk to the microphone, George?
Go to the Wagon on YouTube.
Oh, look at that.
Check it out. The Wagon, WAGEN.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
The Wagon YouTube.
Like,
if you guys are looking
comment.
if you guys are looking for a lot of how-to videos that are maintenance stuff and things to do and modifications for your Volkswagen, that's the spot to go to. So go check out go check out George's YouTube channel at The Wagon on YouTube. So look at it. I'll put a link in the description of this podcast. And until next week, guys, later.
You probably don't know that there's a new Volkswagen out that doesn't look like a Volkswagen.